I keep procrastinating on these videos. I just need to stop and just do it! Hey everybody, Jeremy here with another SSSVEDA video. This is day 21. Before I get into today's topic, I just wanted to talk a little about how I'm doing with SSSVEDA. So as most of you know, if you're following me, you know I'm behind. This will be, I think, video 11 out of 21, somewhere around there. I'm not really exactly sure on the number. But basically, I'm behind too many videos that there's no way I can catch up. But that's okay, because I've managed to do way more videos than I've ever done in a very short period of time. I'm feeling really good about how SSSVEDA's turned out this year, and I can't wait to do it again in August, and then again maybe even in some of the other ones that they have, like October they have one and Christmas they have one. With that said, I'm going to keep this short, sweet, and to the point, as they say. Today's topic is: what is your fondest memory, or what do you miss about the pre-cell phone era? Now, I did write down a few things to help me remember. For the most part, I grew up in the era right before cell phones. I had my first cell phone because I love technology when I was about 14, I want to say. I actually got it for my birthday. I think it was my 14th birthday. And it was an old Motorola, 3 lines of text on the screen. Could do nothing else besides call and text. I had to have one. It was always something I wanted. My uncle owned his own business, so he always had at least one cell phone, sometimes 2. And I would always try to take them from him and look at them because I was just so curious about the technology. And now, of course, that's regular cell phones. I got my first smartphone when I was in my 20s. And that was the Motorola Droid when Android 2.0 first came out and actually gave Apple a run for their money, iOS a run for their money. So some of the things I was thinking of that I really miss about, though, not only things that you don't do very often anymore now that everyone has a smartphone, but also in my personal life, what life was like when I was a kid. Because really, when it comes to pre-smartphone, smartphones kind of happened when I first became an adult. So it was kind of like, I almost associate smartphones with adulthood from my personal life, and I know it's not like that because I know the kids I teach that are 11 years old have cell phones, and even younger sometimes. But for me, pre-smartphone era means my childhood and my teenage years. So one thing that I really miss that you don't see very often anymore, and as someone who teaches a lot, and I've taught all ages from 5 all the way up to 13 now, you don't see just kids getting together and just hanging out. It used to be that everyone got together after school or on the weekends and just kind of hung out, watched TV, played video games. The note I put for myself is couch co-op for video games, because I remember we used to have 4, 6, 8 of us every weekend. It didn't matter whose house we were in. We would just go, hang out, play some video games. It would be so much fun. There was no distractions. There was no cell phones. There was no texting. There was no kicking, no social anything except for actual social interaction. And I think that, to me, that was a staple that has gone away in a lot of ways. Another thing that I just thought of is actually going out and going to places like the park. Kids these days, and I know I'm sounding old like this, but it's because I've seen it with my nephews and I've seen it as a teacher. They don't go out very often. I don't blame the kids. I blame a lot of the parents. And I might get some hate comments for that. But honestly, if you're taking your kid out to the park once a week when they're 4 or 5 years old, by the time they get to be 10 years old, they're probably still going to like going out. I remember I loved going places with my parents up until I was a teenager, probably even beyond. Like little day trips, actually probably more like 16. And that's because my parents always took me places. We always went to parks. We went, we played sports when we were young. Sometimes me and my dad and my uncles and my brother would just go to the park that was 5-minute walk from my house and just throw a ball around. And that could be on a Tuesday afternoon. It didn't matter. Nowadays, kids complain when they have to walk a quarter mile. Trust me, I'm not exaggerating on that. Continuing the trend with that is just the multiplayer games. Nowadays are all played online, and I know that smartphones and internet are not hand in hand, but in a lot of ways, they evolved around the same time. I remember the good old days of GoldenEye on the N64, where we would have at least 4 people, if not 6 or 8 people, and sitting in my friend Alfred's house or my parents' house with my brother, and just passing the 4 controllers around, playing GoldenEye for 10 hours, 8 hours. I mean, honestly, that's something that doesn't happen anymore. It's a show of the times. Not many games have that feature anymore, so that's another reason it's not as common, but it's more common to play online now, and that goes for your phone, that goes for social interaction and everything. Before I get away from video games, I did want to tell a story, and this is just a little anecdote story from when I was young. I remember Christmas Day. I don't know how old I was, but I was older. It was at the point where I knew all about Christmas Eve and Christmas morning, and my parents no longer got up early just to surprise me. So I was probably 12 years old, maybe. My brother, who's 3 years older than me, so he was probably around 15, 14, somewhere around there. And I just remember waking up on Christmas morning. The excitement of Christmas morning was there. But instead of staying in my bed, because I knew my parents weren't up yet, and, being on my cell phone, which is what I would do now if I was a kid probably, I went and wandered into my brother's room, woke him up, and we started playing video games together. And actually, I had to have been younger because this was Sega Genesis, and PlayStation 1 was already out by the time I was a teenager. So I remember we were playing Jurassic Park, the game for Genesis. There was something about that morning, that the feeling of Christmas, the feeling of being with my brother, playing with my brother, I think that is like the epitome of happiness at a time where my family was whole and where everybody, lived together, and we just kind of hung out, and it was great. So the last part of what I miss about pre-smartphone era, and this is a big one that I'm sure a lot of people can agree with, and that's going on a date and actually having a date with a person, not with a cell phone in between. Ever since my wife got an Android, she has become more and more addicted. I'm glad she doesn't watch these videos because she'd probably be not too happy that I'm telling everyone this. She has become a little better in recently, but for a long time, she couldn't go more than a few seconds without that thing in her hand. And this was true at home while we were watching TV. It was true while we were out to eat. It was true while we're at a movie theater, and it got that bad. Don't get me wrong, I understand that cell phone addiction is real. I have had my share of cell phone addiction, social networking addiction. But I realized the quality of life by pushing that aside. Like I said, it's not nearly as bad as it used to be, and in all honesty, we usually don't have our cell phones out very much during our time together anymore. I think that we've learned that anything on the cell phone can wait, and it's more important that we have our time together, especially since we've been married for so long. Well, that's it for this episode of SSSVEDA. What do you miss from a pre-smartphone era? You know what? Let me take it one more step. What do you miss from a time where you didn't have a phone? Now, this could be that you're older, you're my age or older, and you just didn't have a cell phone at all when you were growing up. Or it could be at a time where you were young and you didn't have a cell phone yet. Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. See you tomorrow with another SSSVEDA video. She was right here by my side the whole time. Actually, she was biting my finger during most of it. Huh. She was nibbling. Say hi, Mulan. Hey, say hi. No? You hear the birds? You want to do a vlog? What is your vlog going to be about? Huh? What's it going to be about? Food? Alright. Say, see you next video.